Today we'll just talk a little on where we are, where we have to go. If we want to go somewhere, we do need a map of where we are going. So, supposing you're planning a trip somewhere, you need a map of where you're going so you can plan out your trip. Similarly, today I want to put in front of you something akin to a spiritual map, where we are and where we have to go. What is the objective of spirituality? Here we are not talking about any religion over here, just the pure science of spirituality. And why does a soul seek birth in a human form? If you all want to answer questions, it would be easier if you all come a little closer. I don't know, but if you all, right? So why does a soul want to take birth in a human form? What is its objective of taking birth in a human form? Can anyone tell me? Why are we here? What is the purpose of being here? And free desire. The soul wants to grow. And how can it grow? What does it have to collect to grow? What does it need to collect to grow? Meditation. Yeah. Meditation may be a technique, right? It is not the objective. Right? What is the objective?
Memory of the things that we are part of the body.
Okay, so to remember something we have forgotten, and that is our divine nature, right? So that there is no difference between God and man. But for that, what does it have to do? What does the individual soul have to do? What is the major function, what it has to do over here? You know, in the old days in the US, there were many gold rushes, right? There was the California gold rush, and there was the Alaska gold rush, where gold was discovered in the rivers and people gathered over there in large numbers, and they used to take a kind of pan and put it into the sand and let the river water wash it, and maybe if they found some small specks of gold, then they would collect gold. Why has the soul taken a human form? Why has the soul now taken a human form? What? To collect what? To gather what? Consciousness. Consciousness. There is only one purpose of taking birth, and that is to gather consciousness. The soul, as it gathers consciousness, at one point it realizes that its consciousness is equal to the divine, and it merges back into the divine, right? At that point it realizes its divine nature, but to do that it has to gather something called consciousness, right? So the divine, the Atma, the divine fragment is pure consciousness, right? what is the difference between the soul and the spirit, the Atma and the Jeev? What is the difference between the soul and the spirit? Nothing changes in the spirit. Nothing can be taken out. Nothing can be put in. If the divine fragment, the Atma, becomes the Paramatma, still nothing changes. The divine fragment becomes a divine wholeness, nothing changes. Right? So there's nothing happening in the spirit except for one thing. Except for one thing. And that is not happening. That is its own, what you call, nature. Right? To look. It sees. Right? So one question all of us can ask at any moment in time, and is, am I thinking or am I seeing? Right? Am I thinking or am I seeing? If I'm thinking, I'm stuck with my thought. And if I'm seeing, I may be seeing my thought, I may be seeing somebody else, I may be seeing an inner emotion. Seeing is a function of the divine. Thinking is a function of man. Now you understand? So, if somebody doesn't want to do anything else, does not want to follow any religion, does not want to do anything else, no meditation, nothing, at any moment in the day he has to just ask himself, am I thinking or am I seeing? But he won't be seeing, he'll be thinking again. Right? You're moving towards consciousness. Right? Because the quality of consciousness is to see. The natural function of consciousness is to see. And in that seeing there is a knowing, but we'll go into that little later on. Okay, so we are clear till here. Okay, now what is the difference between the spirit and the soul? The spirit and the... Who journeys? Does the spirit journey or does the soul journey? The soul journeys. The soul journeys. Now what is the soul? What is the soul? Now, we have an individual soul. That individual soul has been journeying for eternity. Eternity, right? The body has a name, you have a name, I have a name, the body has a name, but the soul does not have a name in that sense. But it is still an individual soul. Right? Now the soul wants to gather consciousness. First of all, we'll just try to make a difference. What is the difference between spirit and soul? Or between Atma and Jeev? Jeev is okay? You understand the word Jeev? Yeah. Okay. No, Jeev has been traveling for so many lifetimes. And in this lifetime, it is seeking a body-brain system. Right? Why is it seeking a body-brain system? Why can't it gather consciousness as a soul? Why does it have to take a human form to gather consciousness? Why does it have to? I hope you're interested in all this. I hope you're interested in all this. The first answer, the human mind, was the correct answer, right? If you don't mind, can I make a small request, right? See, when we are sitting here, try to put all previous knowledge on the side, right? So if you bring in other techniques of meditation and all that, then the first answer is in a way correct, the mind. As a soul, it does not have a mind. As a human being, it gets a mind. Mind is the connection between soul and the human body-brain system. Right? Mind is the connection between the soul and the human body-brain system. Okay. But first of all, we go back to what is a soul? What is a soul? What is a soul? No, man, buddhi and ahankar are what do you call they are kind of not senses, but they are kind of you have a microscope. They are kind of, what would we call that word? instruments given for the soul to enjoy life, right? They are kind of inner instruments given to the soul to enjoy life. Okay, I will just try to understand the difference between spirit and soul, and then we'll move further from on this. Say there is a sun. Say there is a sun. And the sun wants to experience itself. It wants to experience itself. So we say Shiva wanted to experience himself. So the story goes. And it sends out a ray of light. It sends out a ray of light. Right? The sun has many rays of light. So, and it tells that ray, you go back, experience, and come back to me. And when the ray falls on itself, it experiences itself. Right? So, this ray which goes out of the sun gets cut off from the sun. And this ray is called the soul. The sun is called as spirit. Now this ray is not allowed to remain as pure light. It has come to gather all experiences, and to go back. Now we come to the point. See, I'm trying to explain to you purely in a scientific way, right? So that we don't bring in any religion or anything over here, right? Where does experience lie? Come on, I've taken this as one lecture here many years ago. Where does experience lie? I can't hear. In the world? No, what allows you to experience? The body-brain system is a computer. What is the software in the computer which allows you to experience? Okay, forget all that. Supposing we were to go to an astrologer, right? What does he say? Where does experience come from? Planetary material. All experience is because of planetary material. The software which allows you to experience comes from planetary magnetism. Right? Now, try to understand this. I am happy. Where is that experience coming from? What is the software which allows me to be happy? Of course, science will see serotonin and dopamine flows in the brain, and that's why you're happy. Right? Jupiter. Can you understand? Right? It is the magnetism of Jupiter which makes the software of happiness. Yeah, but Jupiter also has a negative side. So, and I may cross the line. Right? So, I may be a big gambler all my life. A big gambler. And in this, when I gamble, you put the money on the table to gamble. And you get a kind of thrill. So, that experience is also coming from Jupiter. It's a negative side of Jupiter. I'm very angry. So, which software goes into the making of that anger? Mars. Right? Of course, we are talking very simply. Everything will be combinations over here. Understand? Now, I use very good language. So, good language will be a function of which planet? Mercury. Can you understand it? Right? But I like to apply powder and I like to apply lipstick and I like to, make my face more beautiful than God has made it. Right? And so then that will come from which planet? Venus. So every experience that is possible in man's panorama, it comes from the planets. Comes from the planets. You understand this? Now, this guy has come outside of, this ray has come outside, right? From the sun. And it's come for one reason, to experience. And all experiences come from the planets. So it is covered in what? It is covered in an astral body. Or we can say a planetary body. Is this clear now to everyone? Right? And why is it given this planetary body? Because it has come to have all experiences, right? Ram Bhagwan wanted to go through all experiences. He went through all experiences, right? He did not run away from any experience. Similarly, the soul wants to have all experiences, and the only way it can have all experiences is by getting a planetary body. Planetary body. That is, which allows us to experience. So all our emotions are made out of planetary magnetism. All our emotions are made out of planetary magnetism. Now, let's go a little ahead. Now, we'll forget this. We'll come back to this a little later. Now, this soul, by consciousness, when it comes, it is given three fundamental faculties. It has three possessions, right? People ran away from Africa with their bag of gold, right? So when they came to India, they had that bag of gold. They started their business again, right? Similarly, this soul has three possessions, even before it takes on a body-brain system. But for those three possessions to work, for them to become functional, it has to take on a body-brain system. Which are these three possessions? No. Consciousness, the spirit is pure, consciousness, it sends a ray of light, the ray of light is also pure, consciousness, it is surrounded by an astral body or a sukshma sharir, right? And this guy who is going to be traveling for thousands and thousands of years, for eternities, right? He has three fundamental faculties: consciousness, attention, and will. Okay. Now, so we say the aim of taking birth is to reach a higher state of consciousness. So at one point our consciousness becomes equal to the spirit. The soul cannot gather consciousness on its own, right? It has to take a human form, right? Now, why does it have to take a human form? What is there in a human form? Like he said, mind. What do we mean by mind? What is there in a human form that the soul does not have? What functions come with the human form? thinking, feeling, sensing, moving, and of course two more, memory and sex. We won't take them just now, right? So thinking, feeling, sensing, moving. These functions he does not have as a soul. When the soul comes into a human body, it is gifted with these 4 functions. Actually 6 functions, but it is gifted with these 4 functions. And he uses these 4 functions, right? And these functions are used through consciousness, attention, and will, right, to rise to a higher state of consciousness. Now, consciousness is like a building. It's like a building. The lower part of this building we will call as ego. We'll go into later on what is ego, right? And the higher part of the building we will call as Atma, right? And we can also have a lower ego. Right? So he uses these, and he uses these through thinking, feeling, sensing, and moving to climb this ladder or this building, right? Till he comes back here, and that's his aim, his journey. It may take 1 lifetime, it may take 200 lifetimes, it may take 2,000 lifetimes. We don't know, right? But this is his aim, right? Right? And the only way he can climb this ladder is to gather consciousness, right? As he rises in consciousness, he climbs this ladder, he comes closer and closer to the end of his journey, and that's the primary aim of taking birth. Primary aim of taking birth. Of course, everybody forgets in the shock of birth what the soul decided. And we'll go deeper into this, because at the moment of taking birth, the soul has invited all the events of our life. Don't think any of the events of our life are haphazard. I don't know if any of you have read the Bhagavad. Bhagavad is one of the Purans, the 18 Purans, but the most fascinating Puran. And when Krishna is 11 years old, Akrur comes to collect him. He has to go to the court of Kansa, who was the king, right, in Mathura. So he's in Vrindavan. Now, one day before Akrur comes to collect Krishna, Narad comes. Nar means to lead, the one who leads. And Narad is one character in the whole of Hindu mythology who has open ticket. You know, he can travel to Bhuvaswa, wherever he wants, he can travel. Yeah, he has this automatic open ticket, right? And Narad comes to meet Krishna. Now, he's an 11-year-old boy, and Narad comes and tells him that these are the events of your life. He gives him a series of events. He says, these are the events of your life. So Krishna had no choice in his life, in the sense that which event was going to come to meet him. Narad had already told him when he was 11 years old that you will be doing this, you will be doing this, you will kill Kansa, these are the events of your life. So here is a divine person, no choice. All the events of his life were predetermined. Where was his choice? Where was his choice? How he reacted, how he lived each individual event. how he lived each individual event. Right? Now, one day, I don't know how many, because I've got very few days over here, but we could go deeper into what is an event also. But what I'm trying to say is that just remember this, that don't complain about anything that happens in our life. Because before we were born, the soul had invited it. The soul had invited it. Why had he invited it? Why had he invited it? To climb the ladder of consciousness. Right? So whatever was blocking his consciousness, now try to understand, this is very difficult for us to understand, very, very difficult. Whatever was blocking his consciousness, he invited an event which would allow him to dissolve that block and rise higher. Now this is, see, now we have to have a different perspective over here. Now supposing for many lives he had an attachment to money, right? And there was a block of greed, a block of what we call lobha or whatever we want to call it, right? And the soul realized that he has to get over this block to rise in consciousness. Then he's going to invite those kind of events in life which will allow the lobha to come out of the unconscious mind, and he can look at it. Seeing is of the Atma. And the minute he looks at it, throws light upon it, he's free of it. Am I coming across in this? Right? So, the events of life don't say there's nothing to complain about in life. Everything that happens in our life was already predetermined. It is like Krishna. How do we live it? Do we live it with complaining? Then we are sowing the seed for it to happen again. If we live it by putting the blame upon her, then we are sowing the seed for it to happen again. If we live it by saying, if only I had not done this, this would have happened. In a spiritual seeker's life, there's nothing like if only, right? Then we are sowing the seed for that event to happen again. And don't take event as a particular event, right? A blockage can be related to a series of events, different spectrum of events. It could invite anything. Okay, I don't want to go into that today. My thing is, what is consciousness? Let's come back to what is consciousness. What is consciousness? What is consciousness? Because we want to open this map of where we are going, where we are now and where we are going. Right?
Remembrance of that we are going towards spiritual.
So it is one of the most mystical things to talk about, consciousness. A simple definition of consciousness would be that which allows us to be aware of something. That which allows us to be aware. This is not the right definition, but we can try to give a little simplistic definition. But it is not the right definition. Because in that total consciousness, everything exists. Everything exists. Right? It is like you're living in a home and you say, I want to have ice cream today. But ice cream is already in your home. It's already lying in your freezer. Right? You don't have to go out to get ice cream. Can you understand? Ice cream, happiness, is already lying in the home, in the freezer. It's already lying in the home. But man is searching for happiness. Right? Man is searching in woman, and woman is searching in man, and man is searching in money, right? And man is searching in a house, and man is searching in relationships, and God knows where. He's searching everywhere because he thinks the ice cream is outside. But the ice cream is lying in the freezer. Right? So, Similarly, in consciousness, in that total what we call as purnata, totality is not the right word for it, but what we call as purnata, totality, everything lies. So we can say in another way, consciousness is a field. Consciousness is a field in which everything lies. It is a field in everything. Now, what makes us aware that this is lying in my home? What makes us aware that this is lying in my home? Attention. Attention is the torch. Attention is the torch. I'm looking at you, but my eyes may be looking at you, but if attention is not flowing out of my eyes, I'm not looking at you, even though I'm looking at you. Can you understand? Right? So in this wide world of, right, the first thing is that consciousness, the field, right? And what is lying in my field? Attention tells me.
What's the difference between attention and awareness?
Right? So you have ice cream lying in your freezer, right? And when you throw attention on the ice cream, the consciousness becomes aware that, oh, the ice cream was already lying in my home. Right? So through attention, consciousness becomes aware of something which it already had. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? Okay.
I have a question here to ask. Sorry.
Please do. Yeah.
Okay. We all become human beings. Of course, we all have the soul in us. But this soul has already traveled, let's say, I don't know, for thousands of years it has been,
Eternity.
it has been taking birth and dying and taking birth and dying, whatever. Soul is already aware of so many things, and we don't have that sense. The soul is already aware of so many things which has gone through in the previous lives or whatever. So all these terms of consciousness, is that something tied up with all those experiences of the soul for
Exactly.
thousands of years?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
And the soul can't go in and become can't go into animals. Is that true? Soul is only.
No, we don't want to go into that. We'll talk about that some other day. That because that is not our subject for today.
Okay.
Right?
Go ahead.
Right. But the soul, it gets attached to things of objects of consciousness. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? And unless the very freeing of itself from those objects of consciousness, right, leads the freeing of consciousness from its objects. We'll come to that. Again, we'll come back to where we were. What is consciousness? So consciousness is not a psychological process. It is not a part of the brain. It is not a part of the senses. Right? It is not thought. It is not feeling. It is not sensation. It is not movement. But thought, feeling, sensation, and movement happen in consciousness. They happen in consciousness. They are objects of consciousness. Can you understand? Right? So, thought, feeling, sensation, and movement are objects of consciousness. Now, what about the third factor? What is the third factor? Will. Will changes into desire. But what is the original function of will?
To reach to the conscious.
Where to throw attention. Where to throw attention. Now, do we control our attention, or is our attention automatically seduced? Tell me. Huh?
Normally automatically seduced.
101% automatically seduced. It's only when you try to study for an exam that you're trying to control your attention. Right? Thoughts, feelings, sensations, and movements, they seduce our attention. If attention is seduced, do we really have any will? Right? Now, if the objects of consciousness seduce attention, is there anything like consciousness? There is no will. There is nothing like consciousness. Right? We live our whole life in this seduction of attention. Our whole lives are lived in this seduction of. One of the things about meditation is nothing but the practice of trying to free attention from the objects of consciousness. Thoughts, feelings, sensations, etc. That is all meditation is about. Right? You don't have to do meditation to do that. You can do it otherwise also. Right. Now, so attention gets seduced, and then what happens? Then what happens? After getting seduced, what happens? To attention. To attention. It gets attached. It gets attached. Now you want to go on a journey, and for the going on this journey, there is only one thing. You have to gather something called attention. And when you send attention back to where it came from, it is looking at consciousness, and consciousness becomes aware of its self. Right? This is what the journey is about. But where is attention just now? Where is attention? Tell me. Where is it? See, all of you all have come here. Definitely you want to practice, you want to go on this journey and all that. Right? And the only currency you have in this journey is attention. Attention. And where is our attention? Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha. Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha. So in Bhu, in the physical world, it is attached to objects. Now, my attention is attached over here. My attention is attached over here. How do I know? How do I know? What is the characteristic of knowing? How do you be conscious? How is consciousness made aware that attention is attached over here? Huh? Physical objects, right? The what you call molecular world of relationship and the electronic world of thought, right? Now, what is the characteristic that my attention is stuck over here? Desire is one of the things which takes attention and it glues it to something, right? What is the character? Supposing I bought a new car. No, supposing I bought a new car, right? And the car is lying outside. Right? How do I know that my attention is stuck in the new car? If some child comes from school and he takes a small stone and he makes a, what do you call, scratch on the car, is it a scratch on the car or is it a scratch on my heart? See, there's no English word for this. There's no English word for this. There's only a Gujarati word. There's no Hindi word also. Right? Huh? In Gujarati we say, Jeev bade che. What do you say in English? I'm getting acidity or I'm getting heartburn or what do you say? Right? Can you understand? Jeev is soul. Jeev is also attention. Jeev is soul. Huh? Right? So a child comes and makes a scratch on the new car. Right? Soul is burning. Soul is burning. So what is the characteristic of attachment? Money, car, house, other material things, maybe my shirt, I don't know.
Earthy material.
Huh?
Earthy material.
Whatever earthy materials, right? That my attention is attached over here. My attention is that something happens to that, I get heart burning, right? Jeev bade se. Is this now clear to everyone? Right? Getting upset, but there is a definitely what do you call some inner what do you call suffering of the soul, right? Something. And why does the soul suffer? Why does the soul suffer?
Because of the attachment.
No, the attachment is of the ego. The ego does not suffer. The ego feels the attachment, it feels the pain, and then it stops suffering after that. Who suffers? The soul suffers. And why does the soul suffer? Because it is not free. It is bound by that attachment. Can you understand? At that suffering, it is trying to tell you, wake up, be free of this. Can you understand? But we get more attached. We'll go and catch that child. You got no manners, your parents not taught you anything, etc.
I have a question.
Yep.
We all humans need to reach that point in life where these things should not impact us. That's my thought. I mean, once we reach that point where someone put the scratch, okay, where mind is still ignores it. I mean,
See, that's a very, I don't know, you've come here with certain preconceived thoughts, right? That is why I asked you to just drop them for some time, right? There are two things over here. That one is that I am attached to that car. And that is why I feel pain because he has made a scratch on my new car. Now, by observing that attachment, by throwing light upon that attachment, that is looking at that attachment, right? I break the attachment and I extract consciousness from it. I'm coming to this later on. Can you understand? Right? Now, once I am free of that attachment, will I care or not care? Because you're saying I will not care. Will I care or not care?
not care.
It won't affect me, but will I care or not care? I will care more than a normal person. Why? Because now that consciousness has broken the attachment, I want to play the game of life just as an ordinary person. I won't get angry on that child. I won't this thing, but I may stop him and tell him something that, would you really feel this is the right thing you're doing? Right? I may do it in a different way. Can you understand? Right? So don't care does not mean that we don't play the game of life. When you're free of consciousness, can you understand? When you're free of attachment, you play the game of life even deeper than normally people play it. Because you're extracting enjoyment each moment from the game of life. I'm coming to that. I'll just answer his question again. Let's take this at a little higher scale. Now, in relationships, does our attention get attached? Physical things?
Yes.
In relationships. I'll say, this is my wife. This is my son. Right? These are my friends. Right? Of course, to a person who's a student of spirituality, there's nothing like my friend. There is friendship. There's nothing like my friend. The my has dissolved. There is friendship. And that friendship is even more deeper than my friend. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? It's not that I don't care. I care 100 times more. I care 100 times more. But now this caring is free of attachment. Right? So I look at my son, but I'm looking at him as my son. Then I'm looking at him through attachment. Attention is attached. But I look at him and I see him as an individual. I see where he is coming from and what. And suddenly now the love is without my love. It is just pure love. I don't know if I'm coming across in this. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So as you rise in consciousness, as the attachments break on the physical level, the relationship level, the thought level, right? You become more and more intrinsically involved with the movement of life. You don't care. You don't come to a place where you don't care. You come to a place where you care more and more. If you don't care, then life has become what you call a dead leaf. Life should be a leaf full of juice, right? Full of juice. So now we say that for the first purpose why the soul has come is to gather consciousness. And the second purpose why it has come is to enjoy life free of attachment. To enjoy life free of. This is something which is very difficult for us to understand. Very, very difficult for us to understand. Because we are full of so many attitudes. My son, right? And my son cannot do anything wrong. The neighbors have come and complained, but because he's my son, he can't do anything wrong, right? And we see the whole world through I and my. So we can't see reality. We are seeing what I and my decides, right? So we are attached to things on the physical level. We are attached to things on the relationship level. Bhu, bhuva. And in thoughts. Are we attached to thoughts? Are we attached to thoughts? Right? You'll say, I'm an Indian. Right? So whenever we have a joke, there's one American, one Russian, and one Indian. Who comes out on top? The Indian always comes out on top. Right? Why? Because we are attached to Indian. We are attached to flag. Right? We are attached to ideas. You're attached to a religion. You're attached to a guru. You're attached to a form of thinking. If I make fun of your guru, you will feel pain inside. Can you understand? If I make fun of your God, you will feel pain inside. Why? Because you're attached to the God. Now you went to that God to be free of attachment or to get into more attachment? Free of attachment. Can you understand? Right? So, try to see, we are attached to so many ideas. We are attached to so many ideas. And we have to drop those ideas. We have to drop those ideas. So, our consciousness, what we call, is full of all these things where attention is attached. And because attention is attached, consciousness is attached. Consciousness goes to sleep. Gurdjieff has a beautiful saying, man is asleep, man is a machine, he is not a human being. Everything that happens in man's life is mechanical. Can you understand this? This is what he says. Okay, now again, before we go ahead, one last question. Where is consciousness? Now, what do we have to do for consciousness? Like he said, we have to meditate. Do we really have to meditate, or is there any simple way of extracting consciousness? Huh?
The attitude should be changed. Do things with awareness.
Right. Right. Okay. Before that, I'll just touch upon one thing. Then we'll go into this. Lilies. What is the lowest level of consciousness? What do the Shastras call the lowest level of consciousness? Sleep, nidra, sleep, right? Okay, next, little higher level. Swapna. Swapna, dream. We will put a word over here for this dream state as psychological sleep. What is the third state of consciousness? Third state. Turiya means fourth. Third state? Jagruti. Or we can say self-consciousness. And like he said, Turiya, the fourth state, right? Objective consciousness or universal consciousness. Now, what is the difference between psychological sleep or dream and Jagruti or self-consciousness? Okay. What is the difference between attention in man and attention in plants and animals?
Man is conscious of himself.
So,
Outgoing, incoming.
he's conscious of him? He's not. He can become conscious of himself. And for becoming conscious of himself, what does he have to do? Throw attention inwards. He has to throw attention inwards. Can an animal throw attention inwards? No. Can a plant throw attention inwards? No. Right? Why can't they throw attention inwards? Why can't a plant throw attention inwards? Because they are programmed. They can't live anything outside their programming. An animal is programmed. Right? It can't live anything outside its programming. Right? If in a certain season, if all lions come into heat, one lion can't say, I practice brahmacharya. Right? It's not allowed. He's programmed. He has to look for a mate. Oh, can you understand this? Right? So, in animal life and in plant life, everything is pre-programmed. Why is it pre-programmed? Because there is nothing like self-consciousness. There is nothing like free will. With self-consciousness comes free will. Can you understand this, what I'm trying to say? Right.
But the events are still programmed, or the events of your life are still programmed.
The events of life, not in the sense that we understand them, I'll come to that. In the sense they are not pre-programmed, they are pre-invited. Can you understand? For my freedom, they are I have already pre-invited them. Can you understand? They are not pre-programmed. They are not pre-programmed. Why does animal and plant attention only go outside? They are pre-programmed. In this pre-programming, what is the main thing in this pre-programming? They always have to respond to external stimuli. They have to respond to external stimuli. When you respond to external stimuli, attention is always going out. Now clear? As long as man is only responding to external stimuli, how different is he from an animal? Can you get it? He's living the same life as an animal. Or maybe worse also. Right? So, what differentiates man is that he has the choice whether he wants to respond to external stimuli or not. And this choice is will. He can, if his attention automatically goes to external stimuli, he has not risen above the animal. Can you understand? He has not risen above the animal. But if he can control his attention and not allow it to be, what do you call, seduced by external stimuli, right? Then for the first time he has applied will. He has applied will. Now he can turn that attention inwards. He can turn that attention inwards. And attention has come from the divine, and as it goes inwards, one day it reaches the divine, you know what it is. Right? So the only journey is of taking attention inwards. Can you get it? Right? But attention over thousands and thousands of years has been habituated to go out. Even if we try to take it in, we sit in meditation for 1 minute, right? We take it in a little, the thoughts will start coming and the thoughts will seduce our attention. And I'll remember I have forgotten to put the lunch box in my son's, school bag, and attention will move out, right? We cannot hold attention in, right? When attention moves in, we who are living in this psychological sleep state, because attention is only moving out, when attention starts moving in for the first time, it is moving towards self-consciousness. It is moving towards self-consciousness.
When you say attention is moving in, what exactly, where exactly it is moving?
You tell me. You tell me.
It's not external, so you are not.
Okay,
you
let's
don't have your attention outside.
let's take this in a very different way and then come back to him. Come back to attention. I hope you're still interested in all this, huh? I don't know.
So nice that you are here, sir.
Okay. Now, he hits me on the road, huh? Right? And I get angry. I get angry. Right? Simple thing, right? Happens all the day, right? Somebody does something, we get angry, etc., etc., right? Lot of traffic, we get angry, etc. Irritated. Okay. Why did I get angry? Why did I get angry? Why did I get? Because anger was lying inside me. See, in our Shastra, the Hindu Shastra, they talk about three kinds of causes. Three kinds of causes. The instrumental cause, the material cause, and the real cause. The instrumental cause, the material cause, and the real cause. What the senses see is which cause? The instrumental cause. The instrumental cause. Right? So a detective sees the dead body, he's seeing the instrumental. From that he tries to find out the cause, that is the material cause. Right? Now, the Shastras give one example, and that is a very simple example. Everybody knows this example. Is that there is a potter and there is the clay. Right? And the potter makes a pot out of clay. So, the potter is which cause? Instrumental cause. The material out of which he makes the pot is the clay. The material is clay. Right? His hitting me on the road is the potter, instrumental cause. But the material called anger was already lying within me. Right? Now, if attention is only going outside, who is at fault? He is at fault. Why did you hit me? Can you understand? But if now attention is moving inside, I'll say suddenly, wait a minute. He's not at fault. This anger was already lying within me. Can you understand? My whole vision changes. My whole vision of life changes. It takes a 180-degree turn. The material called anger was lying within me. Can you understand? So when attention starts moving inside, now you're moving from instrumental cause to the material cause. Can you get it? My father was a great follower of Krishnamurti. I don't know if you've heard of Krishnamurti. And he would follow all his lectures and this and that. He was also a great follower of Osho also. And my father and one friend of his would sit in meditation. Right? And they would sit for hours in meditation. And my father, of course, died young. But this friend of his, he's 95 today, he's still living. Right? And at 95, friend of my father, I should be bowing down to him, but whenever he meets me, he comes down and he bows full flat to me. I'm not saying this should happen. I feel very bad about it. But he does that. And he says, my whole life I've been searching, I could not get it. How did you get it? Right? Now my daughter today is 24, but when my daughter was 8 or 9, he caught my daughter and he said, sit down over here. And says that at least once your father must have got angry on you. Right? The daughter says, no, my father never gets angry. Say, at least once he must have got irritated on you. My father does not get irritated. Then he kept on. Then she says, my father does not know how to get angry. Right? For me, that was like, somebody had given a pat on the back, that all these years you have been, practicing, right? But your daughter says something like this, right? So, what I'm trying to say is that the material called anger, if it is not lying inside, is however many instruments, however many potters are there, if there is no clay, how can he make the pot? It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Right? So now when we are going to take the levels of the ego, I don't know what is the time today. Yeah, we still have a little time. But as we take the levels of the ego, we'll see the lowest level of the ego, right, is the animal level. And animal level translates into all negative emotions. Irritation, anger, jealousy, justification, right, arrogance, right. Now, we want to rise above that level. So, anyway, we come back to where we were. What I'm trying to tell you is that when attention moves in, you see a different world. You see a totally different world. The three things will fall off your life completely. Completely they will go away. First is complaining about anything. Second thing, it is never anyone else's fault, it is always my fault. And you will never put the blame on anyone else. Or you will never say, if only this had happened. What has happened is the fact, and if I don't accept the fact, I can never move from the fact to the truth. I can never move from the tathya to satya. Right? I can never move from... And acceptance of the fact is very, very difficult, sir. Very, very difficult, right? To accept the fact. But all spiritual seekers must come to a stage where they accept the fact. The fact is, he took away my money. Can I accept that fact? Or does the thought keep on coming, he took it away? Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Now, I can't accept a small fact. How am I going to move from fact to truth? I have to climb this ladder. But I'm stuck with the fact, right? Now, Gurdjieff calls this body-brain system as the machine. He calls it as the machine. And he says, consciousness, which is a property of the soul given by the spirit, the soul has been put to sleep. So there is nothing like consciousness. Will, which was a faculty of the soul, has been kidnapped. Apharan thai gyo, suke, what do you call? It has been taken away by the body-brain system, right? So the will of the soul was to rise in consciousness. The will of the body-brain system is fulfill my desires. Can you understand? So will of the soul becomes will of the machine. Will of the soul becomes will of the machine. I have to fulfill my desires, right? I have to fulfill the urges and the hungers of the five senses. Can you get it? Now this is machine will. It something which belonged to the soul, it has taken away. And attention which belonged to the soul is seduced by the machine. Well, will is kidnapped and attention is seduced. Now, in only one state, can the machine, that is the body-brain system, that is all our inner desires and everything, not what you call, or I'll say it in another way, that I have a lot of willpower, right? What does it mean that I have a lot of willpower? That will which was property of the soul, I have taken it, right? And it has now become a property of my machine, and I'm using this willpower to make new factories, to control people, gather money, etc., fulfill my desires, or much more than my desires can ever, I can imagine my, etc., etc., right? So that will which was there, it has become, from spiritual will, it has become what is it? Willpower, will of the machine, will of the, and some people have great willpower, right? They've stolen it from the soul. Right? And I apply my attention only to fulfill the desires of my will, desires of the machine. Right? So attention is seduced and willpower is kidnapped. Now, in only one state does this will which the machine has kidnapped, it becomes inoperable. The machine will becomes inoperable. The machine cannot use its will in only one state. Try to understand. He should know because he's meditating. Right? He should know. Right? And attention cannot be seduced in that state. It is from that state that our journey starts. It is from that state that our journey starts. The whole spiritual journey starts from that state. From where? In time, related to time.
So rise in time.
As long as the machine is not in the present moment, it can exercise will. As long as it is thinking about the future, it can exercise will, right? As long as it is thinking of the past that she, hurt me 10 days ago, it can exercise will, right? That I'll take care of her. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? But if the machine is brought even for 1 minute into the present moment, it cannot exercise its will. In the present moment, the will of the machine becomes inoperable. Right? And this is a chance for us to take that will and give it back to the soul. In the present, for attention to be seduced, you have to move out of the present moment. Can you understand? Right? See, I go to a store, I see this, attention, seduced, immediately desire or will comes in, I want to buy this. Right? So everything is happening in the future. Everything is happening in the future. But in that moment, pause. I don't allow my attention to be seduced. I pause my attention. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. I pause my attention. Right? then my will cannot do anything in that moment. There is a sudden gap, right? And in this gap, we start climbing the stairs of consciousness. How do we climb the stairs of consciousness? How do we start? First of all, what do we have to do? We have to practice coming to the present moment. Coming. And how do we practice coming to the present moment? By pausing seduction of attention. By pausing seduction of attention. Right? And attention is very easily seduced. You get a call from the school, your son has fallen down, attention seduced. Can you get it? So at that moment we have to pause. Okay, he has fallen down, I'm going to take care of him, but I don't want to allow my attention to be seduced. Now, what can we do in our mind in such a situation to remain in the present moment? No, we'll come to splitting attention. After we've come into the present moment, we split we won't use the word split, we'll divide the attention. We'll divide the attention, right? Okay. What can we do? How are we going to work with our mind? Yaga? No. I got this call from school. Your son has fallen down. Right? Now, how do I pause in this moment? How do I pause in this moment? What do I have to stop immediately?
Reaction.
Yeah, but reaction in what form? In my chain of thought. Can you understand? In my chain of thought. See, if I, continue in a chain of thought, oh, this must have happened and what must have happened, and I told him not to go to school so early and he missed the bus and I should have dropped him by car. And if I continue in a chain of thought, then my attention is being more and more seduced. Can you get it? At that moment, I say, this thought has come that he has fallen down. I don't want to think further on this thought. Can I pause over there? Can I dam the water over there? Right? Can I dam the water? And because the mind is molecular, and molecular takes the shape of whatever you put it in. You put water is molecular, you put it in the glass, it takes the shape of the glass. Similarly, the mind is molecular. You say you want to dam, it dams over there. It takes the shape of the dam. Can you understand? Right? So, what would this mean? What would this mean? What would this mean? What would this mean? Sanyam is, yes, it is a kind of sanyam, no doubt about it, but what boundary do we have to draw in our mind? What boundary do we have to draw? Huh? Yeah, we want to observe our thoughts. But we want to stay in the present moment. Yeah?
Not to react to this external stimuli.
Yeah. So I'll say, I'll accept which thoughts come, but I will not think any thought. No doubt it's difficult. I'm giving you a practice. I'm giving you a practice now. It's a very simple practice. It's very difficult, but it's still very simple. Right? And this practice is more powerful than any meditation you can think of. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? You draw a line in your mind. I allow thoughts to come. I allow the thought that he owes me money. But I will not think this thought. He has not been paying for so much time. I have been asking him and now I should pressure him in some other way. Then I'm thinking the thought. Can you get it? This will take time. It's going to take time. But if you can draw this line in the mind, that thoughts, whichever won't want to come, they are allowed to come. But I will only consciously think those thoughts which are necessary. I won't allow my attention to be automatically seduced by thought. This is a very big thing, very, very big thing. If you can achieve this even in the next 1 year, you've really achieved something. You've really climbed so many steps altogether.
Is it like you don't want your memory to do what?
Huh?
Is it like you don't want the memory to go back from the
Thought is memory. There is no thought which can be made without memory being a constituent of thought. Right? All thoughts are born out of comparison. For comparison, memory is needed. Can you see? Right? Of course, there is a higher form of thinking where comparison is very less. Right? But then we have to reach that higher form of thinking. We'll try to go there also. But what I'm trying to say is that
So one has to forget the things.
no. I'm saying you allow the thought to come. You have not forgotten the thing. I have not forgotten that he owes me money. I'm not allowing myself to think that he owes me money.
Entanglement,
Huh?
not get entangled in it.
Not allow your attention to get entangled in the thoughts. Right.
Is it similar to, is it something like Sakshi Bhav that you,
Don't bring, that is why I said don't bring in all this. Sakshi is a very high state. We don't want to talk about that state. No, everybody talks about that state. I don't even know, I've never understood what they're talking about. Right? So I don't go into that. I'm taking you step by step. Right? The first practice you can do, is which thoughts come and which thoughts do I think. Right? Now it's going to be very difficult. Very difficult. So, where will you start this practice? How will you start this practice? So when you wake up in the morning, don't wake up. Go back a little. And observe your thoughts. You see, the sun is just rising, right? So thoughts are very slow. What today's science calls you're in the alpha state, right? Thoughts are slow. Observe the thoughts, right? And if you start thinking a thought, I'll just go back to another old example. I haven't read a newspaper in nearly 8 to 10 years, right? But in the old days, I used to read the newspaper. And you know, before computers came and all that, the newspaper was a big thing. You get a newspaper in. Now you already know the news before the paper has come, right? So, now the Guru had given us these series of exercises which we do in the morning. And I came to one conclusion that if I start reading the newspaper, then I forget doing the exercises. And then that day I have a gap. So once I get my tea in my hand and I get the newspaper in my hand, there's a gap. Or I then do the exercises, just some way before in the evening or something of that sort. So the idea was to finish the exercises before the newspaper came in. Right? There were no computer in those days. We didn't have computer in those days. Right? Similarly, in that state, when you've gone a little back, you're early in the morning, you're lying on the bed, and the thoughts are arising, and you're observing the thought, and suddenly the thought came that yesterday she gave me a gali, or she gave me a bad word, that thought came. Now immediately I will start thinking that thought. If you are really observing over here, you will see the minute you start thinking the thought that she did this to me, thoughts will move at a tremendous speed. Suddenly the speed will, as if it's going at supersonic speed, right? From 30 thoughts per second, it will go to 120 thoughts per second. Can you understand? So at that point you pause. The idea will come to think about it, you pause over there. So the first place you start practicing this pause is early in the morning. Now once you have done it for 3 months early in the morning, You'll see it suddenly happening in the daytime automatically at many places. And when it happens, and I won't call it automatically, it is a conscious habit you have made. It is not a mechanical habit. And a conscious habit is not automatic, it is spontaneous. It is what we call sahaj. Sahaj, right? So suddenly you say you are heating the milk, and the milk overflows, right? And then you start thinking, or a cow's milk, and cow is mother, and this thing, and her milk has overflowed, and it's going to bring me bad luck today, etc., etc., etc. And you pause, and that pause will come very spontaneously, very spontaneous. And that as you practice this in the morning more and more, that pause will filter down into your day. You will be able to practice in so many. So you'll come to a state where you're not thinking at all. That does not mean you don't have thoughts. You will have thoughts. Thoughts will come. The brain is a machine to make thought, right? Thoughts will come. You will not think those thoughts. So in the Yoga Sutra, as we go ahead in the Yoga Sutra, we come to one sutra where there's a definition of Ishvara. Ishwar, the Guru Dev Ishwar. Right? So he says, Klesha Karma Vipaka Ashaya Aparamushta Purusha Vishesha Ishvara. Now this word aparamushta, untouched by. So when in your inner sadhana you have reached that state where you are untouched by klesh, karma, vipak means the operation of karma, and ashay means the new seed after the karma is over, the whole cycle. When you are untouched by that cycle, you have reached to that inner state of Purusha Vishesha Ishvara. Can you see? But here Patanjali uses the word aparamushta, untouched by. He's not saying that he is free of klesha. He's not saying he is free of karma. He's not saying he's free of vipak. He's not saying he's free of ashay. He's untouched by them. Can you understand? You are not free of thought, but now you are in a state where you are untouched by thought. Thoughts cannot seduce your attention. And you have taken a very big step, very, very big step on the journey. And this is a small practice. It's a very, very small practice. Everybody can do this practice, right? And in 6 months, you'll start feeling the, the results of that practice. You'll start sensing the results of that practice, right? So if we can, draw a line in the mind that these are the thoughts which come, but I'm not going to invite any thought into my house and give that thought a cup of tea, right? I'm going to wait at my door and allow the thoughts to pass by. The road does not belong to me. It belongs to the people who pass by on the road, and they can pass by. I have nothing to do with that. I'm untouched by thought, right? Then freedom from thought will come much later. And even if it does not come in this life, what difference does it make? What difference does it make? Can you get it, what I'm trying to say? So how we can reach that inner state. And as we take attention inside, now when attention moves inside, like we gave one example of anger, right? What is the first thing attention sees? What is the first thing attention sees? Huh? The consciousness is still very far away. Attention has to climb the, what is the first thing it will see inside? Huh? Which state am I in? Which state am I in? What do you call it? Mood. Which state am I in? Try to understand state. Okay, thank you.
So when we feel uncomfortable, in Gujarati Jeev Vade, that moment we need to bring attention back.
Hold attention and observe the state. The state is coming from a pattern inside. Right? And we want to go to that pattern and be free of that pattern. Right? But what I'm trying to say is that, am I in a positive state or negative state? And what will tell me? What is the simple definition of a positive state and a negative state? Huh? Is it like or dislike? Is it like or dislike? Can you see? If you're finding the floor too hard, is it like or dislike? Is it like or? And like and dislike are the most automatic things. Most automatic things. So if I'm in dislike, I'm in a negative state. And if I'm in like, I'm in a positive state. Right? You see, you can be in the most beautiful place in the world. You may be on a hill station. Everything is so beautiful, the mountains and rivers and valleys and whatnot. Right? But if you're in a bad state, will you enjoy it? You won't enjoy it. Right? So, the thing is, which state am I in? Which state am I in?
Is there a neutral state where you're not either like or dislike, just whatever it is?
There's not a neutral dead state. There's a neutral alive state. Can you understand? The neutral state is not I don't care. Then it is negative.
Is that called samatva?
Hmm?
Samatva.
We are moving towards that. We are moving towards that. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Supposing I tell you that this happened to her and you say, what do I care? That is not a neutral state. That is a negative state. Huh? Right? All you're saying is that to my ego it makes no difference. Right? Right? So there is absence of sympathy. There is absence of what you call external considering. Right? No. There is a neutral state. There is a neutral state, and that is the state of pause, where you're in a gap. Where you're in a gap. Right? And in that gap, the dislike is trying to pull you and the like is trying to pull you. Can you understand? So, when you pause, you're in the gap. Right? Now, supposing you come to a state where you realize that a bad mood is just a dark room in the mind. A bad mood is just a dark room in the mind, and in the mind now I've learned to move from this room to this room is full of light, there's no bad mood. Right? So you have overcome that first, what do you call, of which state we are in. Now, what will come if attention goes deeper? What will come? What will come if attention goes deeper? What will come if attention goes a little deeper? Thoughts. You'll start seeing a river of memory. You'll start seeing a river of memory. Sometimes, when you go to sleep at night, and just before you're going to sleep, the thoughts have calmed down, you have not yet gone to sleep, and suddenly you see all kinds of thoughts, all kinds of faces, all kinds of scenery, totally disconnected. They have no meaning at all. But they are flowing like a river. They are flowing like a river. These are associations of memory. You know what are associations of memory? Right? And they are like there all the time. You know what is an association? Right? It's a very deep subject, associations. I see you, I say you're wearing a green dress. Right? So I'll say I also have a green t-shirt. Associated. Right? So behind thought is, what is that? Association. Behind thought is association. Right? And we have to reach that, bring our level of awareness to the associations. Right? And I'll say I have a green t-shirt, but I also have a green car. Right? And I gave my car into the garage, but that fellow has not repaired the brake properly. And this garage guy is not a good guy. He's been turning me round and round for a long time. Right? And he comes from this town, but everybody in this town is a cheat only. Can you get it? So, these are associations. Associations. Now, an impression comes from outside. An impression comes from, what is the impression? Your green dress. Right? That is the impression come from outside. Where did I take that? Where did I associate that with? This is my building. Lower floor ego, higher floor Atma. Right? Where did I take it? Come on. Huh? Lower. I said that everybody in this town is a useless, this thing. Whether everybody is in a town is useless or not is a different question. But in that moment, am I living that uselessness, that dislike? Am I living that hate, or is that town living that hate? Who tell me? Can you understand? That impression came to inside and an association took it into the lower floor, the gutter. Right? I'm full of hate. My inner state has become full of hate. That town is not living that hate. I am living the hate. I am sowing the seed of hate for future karma. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? So, as we go deeper inside, we take attention inside. First, what state I am in. And these states have been created by thoughts, and thoughts have been created by associations. This is the movement of attention inside, sir. We are now moving inside. Can I change the association? Can I change the association? Then I become, the associations, attention has been thrown on the associations and my consciousness has become aware of the associations. Try to understand these associations. Vivekanand, there's a beautiful statement on associations. The rain is falling. The rain is falling. If the rain falls in the fields, then it is giving life to new plants. Right? If the rain falls in my tank, I use it for my bath. Or maybe for my drinking water. Right? If the rain falls in some other place, it may cause a landslide or something. And if the rain falls directly in the gutter, it has no use at all. Right? Where does the rainfall associate? The rain was falling. Did it associate with the field? Did it associate with my drinking tank? Did it associate with the gutter? Every moment life is flowing in. Can you understand? Every moment life is flowing in. Where does life associate? Life flowed in as her green dress. Where did it associate? With the gutter. Can you see? Or green color brings peace and happiness. Then it associated a little higher. Can you see? So each moment we are living in this building of lower floor ego, higher floor consciousness. It is the same building. Please understand, tomorrow we will die and we'll be born on the same floor. We don't want to be born on the same floor. We want to be born on a higher floor. Can you understand? Otherwise we'll keep on dying and be born on the same floor. Nothing will change. Right? We want to be born on a higher floor. Right? So where is it associating? So each moment of our life, as life comes in, we have a chance to rise in this ladder of consciousness. Forget any other practice or anything. This is every moment of our life. Now supposing she hurts me by giving me some bad word or treating me badly. That is life coming in. Now I say she has insulted me. Have I taken it to a lower floor, to a higher floor? Can you understand? And she has insulted me is mechanical. It is what you call fixed inside. It is a habit. It is a habit. Mechanical habit. So automatically what she has said has gone to the lower floor. It has gone into the gutter. It has gone into the gutter. Can you understand? But can I take it to a higher floor? Can I take it to a... So as we move in, right, the first thing we see in what state we are, then we start seeing our thoughts, feelings, and then we see the associations which lead to those thoughts and feelings. And this is a big thing, right? And every moment, now I can say that she insulted me and I'll say, pause over there. I don't want to go to the lower floor, right? I don't want to call this an insult. I'll say, who is insulted? The ego is insulted. What is my aim in life? To be free of the ego or to give more food to the ego? Free of the ego. Now, if I give it back to her, am I giving more food to the ego or am I being free of the ego? I'm giving food to the ego. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Reaction is food for the ego. Reaction is food for the ego. So, I bring in consciousness over there and I rise in this ladder of... Can you see how in the human form we extract consciousness? Right? Now, we'll go into a technical part of this. So, each moment I'm coming, I see these associations. Now, beyond the associations, what will I see? No, I'll see all my contradictions. I will see all my contradictions. All my contradictions. Now, this is a very deep subject, contradictions. I won't go into it today. But I'll just give you one example, which is a very simple example. It doesn't reveal the depth of the thing, but it'll give you an idea of what I'm trying to say. I was sitting in a car once with someone, and his daughter is talking on the phone in the back seat. And the daughter is saying on the phone, yeah, yeah, yeah. So every time she says yeah, the father who is driving is saying, you shouldn't say yeah, you say yes. Again, the daughter is saying yeah. And again, you shouldn't say yeah, you should say yes. Then she puts down the phone. After some time, the phone rings again, the father's phone. Yeah. Can you understand? Right? This is a small part. This is a small part. The mind is full of thousands of these contradictions. I'll give you another example. Another example. This example was brought to me by her, so I use it now in my lectures. So, she is talking to her. She is talking to her, right? And she is telling her what what I call useless person this person is. She is telling her what a useless person this person is. She is overhearing. She is overhearing, right? She is overhearing, and she comes and tells her, okay, do you know this person was talking to you about you like this. So she runs to her and says, okay, tell her to tell me directly, not to what do you call, tell her to tell me directly. Why can't she say on my face, right? But then why did you go to her? You should have gone to her directly and told on her face. Why can't you tell on my face? Can you see the contradictions over here, right? And these contradictions happen from morning to evening. Morning to evening. So in the mind there are walls. In the mind there are walls. And when we are on this side of the wall, we can't see this side of the wall. And when we are on this side of the wall, we can't see that side of the wall. And you see this in so many places when people are talking about other people's children and when they are talking about their own children. When they are talking of their own children, they are on this side of the wall. And when they are talking of the other people's children, they are on this side of the wall. Can you get it? So, there's a whole layer of contradictions in the mind. I don't want to go deeper into them because these contradictions have a very deep connection with blockages in our sex energy. So we'll take that at some other day because we'll have to take both together, right? Now if we go beyond, if our attention goes beyond those contradictions, where do we come? Where do we come? Where do we come? Habits. 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 And we have habits in our thinking, habits in our feeling, instinctive habits. Don't bother too much about instinctive habits. We don't want, if we have tea as an instinct, it's okay. And we have habits in our moving. When I say moving, it is not just hands and feet. It is the relaxation quality of our muscles. Moving means the muscles. Okay. Thinking habits. In the whole day, do we have a single thought which is ours? Or is everything read, heard? Huh? Right? Do we have a single thought which belongs to us? So, original thought. All our thinking is out of habit. All our thinking is out of habit. Okay, now say two people fall in love, feeling. You see youngsters, and if you're listening from far away, you're just listening, they're newly in love, right? And she will say something that, okay, your touch is so beautiful, and he'll say something, and then, now, is there any sentence they are saying which is not from the movies? You tell me. Right? So, habits of thinking, habits of feeling, habits of moving. And you see, these habits are going to follow us. They're going to follow us. Right? There's one beautiful American guru, he gives me an example. And he says, we've died. I've died. That's my body lying over there. I've died. But it's 9 o'clock, it's time to go to office. But you've died. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? the habit is going to follow you. The habit is going to follow you, right? So consciousness is locked in habits. Consciousness is locked in habits, right? And we must observe our habits, and the mechanical habits, we transform them into conscious habits, right? We transform them into conscious habits. Now, supposing the attention goes beyond the habits, so many habits, what does the attention see then? What does the attention, sir? What does the attention see? What does the attention see? Beyond habits, there are deeply embedded habits which are not really habits, they are even beyond habits. They are beyond habits. There's something which comes on more automatic than a habit also. What is that? Huh? Yeah, so what is another name for that? Attitudes. Attitudes. Take just, I'm an ordinary person. I'm a father of a girl and a boy, right? And I consider myself to be a very, what do you call, open-minded person and etc. And my daughter comes to me and she says, I want to marry this guy who is of this religion. What will be the immediate reaction from inside? With all my education, with all my understanding, with everything, will there be an immediate moment of dislike or not? Yes. Then my understanding will come in. That is attitude. That is attitude. Habits are formed after we were born. Attitudes were formed before we were born. Can you see? My caste was decided on birth. My religion was decided on birth. My family was decided on birth. Can you understand? It is from these that attitudes are formed. If I'm of a certain religion, I'll have a certain attitude towards food. If I'm from some other religion, I'll have another attitude towards food. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Right? And these are just attitudes. And they're very difficult to break. Because all our attitudes wear white clothes. You know the white clothes, right? You can't eat this kind of food. White cloth, right? Have you seen on the TV, they have the pictures of all these great kathakars. In India, there are so many kathakars, right? And if you see in the first row, everybody is wearing a Ram, Ram, Ram shawl in that first row. Attitude. Attitude. Can you see? Right? So those attitudes are so deep in us, to even come to a stage where the attitudes come into our consciousness. Can you understand? There's an attitude of an Indian, there's an attitude of an American, right? And you see that. When the Indian meets the American, if he's little observant, he can see the attitudes. He can see the attitudes. It is coming from the American culture. It is coming from the Indian culture. Right? The American will say, let's get this thing done now. The Indian will say, but why be relaxed now? We'll do it. Right? Now, for the Indian, there are so many births to do it. He believes in future. Why do it in this birth? We can do it in whichever birth. Now, the American does not, poor child, he does not believe in so many births. He has to do it now. Can you see the attitude in our thinking? It changes. Right? So, attitudes, there's a whole barrier of attitudes. We've gone through the habits, we come through attitudes. And behind the attitudes, everybody has a deep inner weakness, a chief weakness. And that chief weakness is present every moment, wherever we think, we talk, every thought, every emotion, every word. Some part of that, the partnership is of that, what do you call, chief weakness inside. And that chief weakness is like a matrix. It's not, it is like a Rakshas. A Rakshas can change its, what do you call? Yeah. It can change its, this thing, right? So Hidimba, who was very ugly, she became very beautiful for Bhim to fall in love with her, right? So they can change their, what do you call this thing? So that inner, this thing, you have to catch it. And once you catch it, you have to kill it. And if you don't kill it, it'll change its form, right? Then gone. Then again, you'll have to again do all the work again, right? But if we reach up to there, if the attention reaches up to there, then the minute you see that you throw light upon that, is just darkness. Each stage is just darkness. Mechanicalness is just darkness. And as you throw the light of attention, they vanish. And what remains there is the source of attention, the divine, right? And attention moves back. It says, oh, I am this. It is like you fold your clothes, After you iron your clothes, you fold your clothes. You have folded attention back, and attention has gone back to the source from where it came. And you have realized that all this while you were the divine. You were the divine. Now, before all this happens, this is just, I'm giving it to you in a kind of, there will be glimpses of this. There will be glimpses of this. We'll go into this, we'll continue this tomorrow also. For this game to happen, this game of life, the divine creator or whatever we call him, he had to create something. What was that? What was that? Because I'm trying to bring you to how these glimpses will change your life. These glimpses will change your life completely. What was in that total divine wholeness, where there was nothing except the divine wholeness, right? And he wanted to create the game of life. Create the game of life. Now everything was in that divine wholeness. Everything was in that divine wholeness. What was the first thing he had to do? Create the form, but what? If all forms are part of one form, he had to create divisions. He had to create divisions in that wholeness. Right? If you owe me 10 rupees, right? I will take my 10 rupees from you because you are you and I am I. But if I see you and me are same, then am I going to take my 10 rupees from you? Then there can be no game of life. So you have to be separate from me. If I, experience you as me only, then there can be no game. Then the drama ends over there. Can you understand? So the first thing he had to create for the drama to begin was something in which Patanjali calls as avidya. Avidya. Everything is separate. Everything is separate. We are going to go into this tomorrow also, right? Everything is separate. If it is separate, then the drama can happen. If it is not separate, the drama cannot happen. Now, as you throw your attention inside, you're taking your attention inside, layer by layer, there will be many places where you will break the curtain of avidya. You will go beyond the curtain of avidya. And suddenly you will see that everything is one. She is not separate from me. Right? And in those moments, there will be a terrible, because thousands of years of conditioning will suddenly break in those moments. Can you understand? And then again you will come back. You will come back. Right? But as you practice this, taking attention inside, right? Tomorrow we'll talk on this a little technically, how this is done. And you will come to those moments where you and I are not different. When I'm looking at the flower, I and the flower are not different. We are one. I am experiencing the flower as if I am the flower. It is that curtain of avidya, which they call the curtain of Maya, is breaking for some time, and you're going beyond, and you'll come back, right? And this will tell you that you are climbing those steps, you're moving up on those steps. And then so many things in life will change. So many things. I'm not going to give you my toy to play because it belongs to me, right? Why should I give my toy to you to play? And suddenly, all that has gone. This whole I and my will start dissolving. And then for some time, you will remain in a limbo. You know what is a limbo? Because this world has gone, that world has not yet come, and for some time you will have to adjust in that in-between space where you will have to practice playing the drama in this world and climbing the steps in that world. Right? And many people, they cannot play that. And when they experience this in very great intensity, they find it very difficult to come back and play the game of life, the ordinary husband and wife and family and all this game, and they go into the forest and God knows what they do. And recently also someone had come in one of my camps and she was in such a bad state. He says, I don't know what to do. I can't adjust anywhere. Right? With my own son, I can't go for a movie and enjoy it, right? Because I'm separate from everything. Everything has changed. So there will be that one state where everything is in a limbo, but we pass through that state. Help comes from outside. Help comes from sources. If the guru is there, of course the guru helps, but otherwise it comes. We pass through that state and we go ahead. So this is the journey of taking attention inside, right? And we move from the state of psychological sleep to taking attention inside, self-consciousness, and from self-consciousness to universal consciousness. She is not she, I am not I. We are both a part of that universal consciousness, where everything dissolves into that ultimate state, right? But before that, there is a long journey of self-consciousness, and we are going to talk about that journey of self-consciousness tomorrow, right? Any questions you all have, you can ask now, or you can bring them tomorrow also, right? Anything you like. Time? What is the time? Huh? Overtime. Overtime.
Is it also called Sthita Prajna, right?
Pardon?
Sthita Prajna?
Sthita Prajna, yeah. Sthita Prajna. See, please understand that these higher states are full of life. If something happens to my son, I will cry more than an ordinary man. Right? Because that is the way we are so involved with the game of life. Can you understand? So, Sthita Prajna does not mean, okay, nothing happens to me. That's a terrible state to be in. Right? That's a terrible state to be in. Right? Right? We are not dead to life. We are good players in life. Right? Pran was a very good villain. He's a good player on the screen. Right? So we are good players in life. We come back to life and we play the game with total enjoyment. Right? So that is why somehow I stay away from these words, Sthita Prajna and witnessing and Sakshi, because they give the feeling of I don't care, which is totally wrong. The feeling of I don't care. I totally care. Because, yeah.
Are you trying to say that you choose how you feel about a particular thing? So it's not like you don't care about it, but you choose how to react to that.
See, there's one practice called external considering. Right? And we'll talk about that practice tomorrow. Right? And in that practice, you first start by talking to the other person softly. Now, one of the attributes of consciousness is softness. Whether I'm sitting in meditation, if softness has not come in my life, I'm on the wrong path. Aggressiveness is a quality of the ego. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? If I'm still talking to my wife aggressively, I've taken a wrong turn. So, as you rise in consciousness, the byproduct of consciousness is softness. It's very soft. You touch this, you touch it with softness. You can't touch anything with hardness. You understand what I'm saying? You climb the stairs, you're climbing with softness. As if the stairs are alive and you're touching the stairs. Because everything is you. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So, there is a practice, we'll talk about that, external considering. How we start and slowly we come to a stage where I and that person are the same person. That is why I feel the other person. That is why I feel the other person. Right? And in that you feel the other person, you sympathize with the other person. And then you try to find a right answer to the problems of the other person. Can you understand? Do you find a right answer, or is the answer already there? I've explained this before. The answer is already there. The answer, right? You have to just get out of the way. It is lying somewhere in the higher mind. And if you just get out of the way, it flows down into the logical mind. And this is something which you must experience in life, right? We are always trying to find solutions. Instead of thinking the solution is lying there, can I get out of the way and allow the solution to come down? Right? Anyway, tomorrow we'll talk about how to move up on this ladder of self-consciousness. What is the lowest rung of the ladder and what is the highest rung of the ladder? Self-consciousness, the third state of consciousness. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Thank you.